Okay, so I was going to talk about being bullied growing up, and I have another female who's going to join, and she's going to talk about herself as well, being bullied, and how she got through life with it. And yeah, so I'll just start talking about it now. Um, so I was going to not do what I'm doing now because I have ADHD, severe ADHD. And if you have any mental health illnesses and if you go to the pharmacy and they give you a generic kind and they say, oh, it's the same thing, don't believe them, because for the last 2 weeks now with my ADHD, I've been kind of all over the place because of the generic brand they gave me. So I was going to wait 2 weeks, but I figured I'll be myself and just talk about it. So for myself, the definition of being bullied would be a person that makes you feel small, taking any confidence that you have in yourself and self-worth. The three types I've dealt with are at school, at home, and then a little bit of online bullying, but it wasn't around as much when I was younger. So yeah. So I guess I'll start talking about grade 1 to grade 8, being bullied. It really started in grade 2, and it was more of the name calling when you're in grade 2. If your parents or anyone has disabilities or they're overweight, there was a lot of that. Kids not having you feeling like you're involved. So like break time, I remember going outside, going on the swings, and there'd be a lineup, and there would be kids in front of me, and the kid in front of me would let the next kid go in front of them, and then they just keep swapping. So I'd always stay at the back of the line, not being able to move up, being pushed around when the teachers weren't looking, stuff like that, right? And so that was more from the kids. And then you have it from teachers as well, making you feel small. I know in grade 2, the teacher put me in the back of the classroom, and she put 3 bookshelves around my desk in the back corner of the classroom. Now, I know she wasn't trying. She probably had a hard time because I had ADHD. But for me, I still look at it as a type of bullying because she made me feel worthless by putting me in the back of the classroom away from the rest of the kids with bookshelves around me. So yeah, there was a lot of that from grade 2. Every year I went through school, it was always being picked on, being pushed around, being hit, being called names, trying to fit in. So you start doing things that you shouldn't be doing. And, I made a lot of mistakes by doing things I shouldn't have been doing to try to fit in. Grade 6 year, that was probably the worst year I had for bullying. There was this one bully, his name was David, and he had a hard time. You could tell, like looking back now, he had a hard time at home growing up, and that's why he was such a severe bully. Is what I was told after about his life growing up. And I remember I used to leave class early all the time to try to get away because he would physically kick me. And Emma, come on. Come on out. Yeah, I remember I would leave class early, try to sneak out in grade 6 because he was more of the physical bully that would punch and kick. And yeah, but a funny story about that, when I remember when I was getting beat up by him and I was along a fence, and I remember thinking to myself, I wish I was bigger than him. Now, it's kind of a funny story now, actually. About 15 years later, he was still looked the same. Long hair, AC/DC shirt, really skinny guy. At that time, I was in my 20s. I was going out a lot. It wasn't more fighting. I was protecting a lot of my friends would come get me because I'm a bigger guy. And anyways, I came in the bar. I seen him sitting on a stool. There was no one else around him. The light was shining down on him. And it was like meant for me to see him at that point sitting alone. And I'm trying not to read these. Hello, though, because it will throw me off. So I seen him sitting there. And the first thing that popped in my head was, like, right on. I'm going to go up to talk to him, probably I wouldn't be fighting him. I would have beat him up. But that was the thought going up to him. And I walked up to him and I stood in front of him, and I'm 6'6", and I was lean at 290 pounds. I walked up in front of him and I asked him if he remembered me. And he looked at me, took a couple seconds looking at me, looking up and down. It was only about 5 seconds, and he looked at me and he was like, "What are you going to do, beat me up?" He knew exactly who I was. Now, I remember being a kid along that fence, being bullied by him, being kicked and hit, wishing to be bigger than him. I couldn't have been any bigger to meet him 15 years later. For whatever happened at that point, I don't know. I just called him a goof and I walked away. I didn't hit him. I didn't do anything bad towards him. And it was, I don't know, I gained something from that. Rather than beating him up and getting revenge and, doing all that stuff, I actually gained something from that. But for the people that like to bully, you better not watch out 15 years later because that person could be a big guy. I remember moving along to grade 7, a girl coming up to me asking me to go on a date, and I found it really odd because I was always picked on, and she made me really nervous, and I told her, I didn't know what else to say to her. I'm like, yeah, okay. And she walked back to her friends and laughed and said, "There, you owe me $1 now." Stuff like that, leaving you with no confidence, no self-worth growing up from, just the bullying at school, just basically having zero self-esteem about yourself, right? So those were kind of more my years in elementary school, pretty much from grade 2 right up to grade 8. There was always being a bully somewhere. So that was more of the bullying for school. And then now, like, the bullying at home, growing up with that. Now it's 20 years later since, my parents split apart, and I love my dad a lot, and he's not the same person as he was a long time ago. And as parents, we all make mistakes. I know I always said, I'm never going to hit my kid. I'm always going to tell them I'm proud of them. And, I'm just going to be a proud dad. I'm going to tell them that I love them. But I make my own mistakes. And even though I never ever hit my kids, I didn't want to be like my dad with the verbal abuse and the emotional abuse that we grew up around. I made my own mistakes. So, now I've forgiven my dad. My mom's forgiven my dad. Like, we all moved on from it, right? We all grew from it. But still, I still grew up with that abuse at home. So it was more of the verbal abuse, the mental abuse, just saying bullshit stuff. The biggest thing, though, too, are the jokes. We heard a lot of jokes. So putting people down, joking about it, though, is not a joke. You're still ruining someone's self-esteem by what you're doing. What else was I going to say there? So, yeah, I'll leave it at that with all that stuff at home. And then the online bullying. Well, I had... what was it? Some Gary guy with that first live feed I did. It's a type of bullying, going on, making comments, trying to put people down, or just saying whatever to try to, like, diminish someone's self-esteem or whatnot. When you have people like that, you need to ignore them, and they're just not at their place yet of maturity, and you need to not, they're looking for attention and you can't give them attention. So you just wish them well, and hopefully at some point in his life they grow up, right? But yeah, after all that, growing up with that type of verbal abuse in the school, being bullied, you get to a point where you're worried in life that you can't do anything. So you start not believing in yourself. You take blame for everything. You're left feeling hopeless. And then, it leaves you with anxiety and depression. You end up dealing with that stuff at a later time in life, right? I know when I was 14, I said it last time, I think I was 12, 13, I tried to commit suicide. So strangling myself with a belt, and it didn't happen. But you get to that point when you're going to school, and I feel bad for kids that actually die from suicide. is because they go through all that bullying and they don't really talk about it, and they keep a lot of things in, right? So, I mean, the biggest thing for me to turn everything around in my life eventually started off with therapy when I was 19, I think 18, 19. You know, I did that off and on. Affirmations, looking at yourself in the mirror, you know, saying positive things to yourself in the mirror. It's really hard to do at the beginning, but you need to get into a habit of doing that stuff. For me, obviously, the gym has been huge to help me mentally, not just physically, but mentally. But when you start building yourself up physically, it just makes you feel better anyways. You start feeling better about yourself. Doing good things for people. That's going to build your self-esteem as well. You know, there's nothing I love more than trying to make someone else feel better. And in return, you know, you're gaining from that as well. Avoiding negative self-talk is huge. And another big one that's hard is forgiving people, being able to forgive people, you know, things that they do to you. Once you're able to, if you don't forgive someone, you're holding on to that negative energy. You're keeping that stored inside of yourself. So the thing that works for me to be able to forgive is having compassion on people and why they are the way they are. The hard times they've went through, the things they've went through, you know, and them just not receiving any help. This one's trying to climb to China. Come here. No, I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, forgiving people. Shoot, now I lost my train of thought because she was trying to dig away at the bed. What was I saying? Here's ADHD for you at its finest. Trying to keep myself on track. Yeah, finding compassion for people, why they are the way they are. You know, that's how I forgive people now. I kind of look at it in that way, finding some reason why they are the way that they are. And they just need help too. They need to work on themselves as well. And last but not least, doing that 12-step program for me. I know when I was 14, 15, trying weed, you know, out of the way I felt about myself growing up, that took away all my emotions and pain. So with the drugs, you know, after all that elementary school and the bullying at home, you know, the drugs came into play where it was really hard to stop doing drugs because of the emotional pain that I carried. But which led me to eventually doing the 12-step program, getting rid of all that crap that we have stored inside of us. You know, that was a big part for that. So that's my little rant, I suppose, my little talk about being bullied. And then I had a friend, Alexis. She was going to give her point of view on a female side of being bullied. But now I don't know how to add someone. How do you add someone? Can anyone help me there? Because I'm new at trying to add. Where is it? Nope, not that one. That one? Where is she? Okay, hold on. I'm scrolling up with names here. Okay, give me 1 sec. I'll figure it out here. Right now, I'm just writing her. I'm trying to see. I don't know how to get her on here. Hold on a sec now. Where is she? Okay, I'm talking to her now. I'm getting her to come on now. Oh, are you? Wait now. Telling her to join here. Oh my God, I should have. Okay, just give me a minute. Sorry, I should have tried this earlier. Crying out loud. See, second time doing it, so I never thought about. I thought it would be easier. Does anyone know how you add someone to your feed? Ask her to join, then click her name. She needs to hit the green. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Now she is. There we go. Adding. Hopefully it's working now. It says adding, so.
There you go. You see me
There
now?
we go. I got it. Hey, sweet.
Yes. No, stay there. I lied.
Hey.
Hi.
So I just finished talking about being bullied in school, what I went through, being bullied at home by one parent, and then basically, you know, not having any self-esteem and turning my life around, and all the things I did to get where I'm at today with being positive and happy, basically, right? So now it's nice to have a female's point of view on like what you went through as a woman, you know, as a young girl going through the abuse that you went through, you know, throughout
Really
your
little?
life. Well,
It
start
started.
off. You can tell your story of it.
All right. Well, it started in kindergarten. My brother died before I was born, so my parents were divorced, and my mom remarried, and she moved us to like a more affluent neighborhood outside of Pittsburgh. And the people there didn't like us because my mom had gay friends and friends that were diverse, and they're all super white, and nobody liked us, and all the parents would like whisper behind their back, and my mom had my last name changed so that like we would fit in better, so that I would have the same last name as her. But like parents talk, so kids talk, and then the kids relentlessly picked on me. They used to make fun of me for my eyes. They made fun of me because my cat died, and I was like in kindergarten. So it started then, and they used to scream, "Oh, your cat croaked," and they would do it like in front of my mom. And then it started turning violent, like they would physically hurt me. I had my head slammed into a wall. I was held down and spit on by like a bunch of sixth graders on the bus. And I remember like going home and crying. And like every time it happened, like my mom would say, "Oh, this is just preparing you for something greater when you're an adult." And I would just sit there like, "No, it isn't. Like, this is terrible. Like,
Yeah.
this is heartbreaking." And I never had friends. And then finally she decided to move, and it didn't end like at that point I was so different from everybody else, and everybody kids pick on the weak one, so
Yeah.
I was always viewed as like being the weaker kid because I was smaller. People always picked on me because of my size, and then it like makes you feel like shit on the inside. It doesn't make you feel well at all. And then the fact that nobody wanted to be my friend, and when we still lived in Fox Chapel, they would like not want me to be friends with their kids because my mom was different and we were artistic. And back then in the 80s, like there wasn't like anti-bullying campaigns, and nobody really like cared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like pack mentality. That's what I was telling my kids earlier today. Like
Yeah.
kids were like a pack, and it was like the strongest survived and the weakest got picked on, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
And it like forever changed my life and how I did everything and my self-esteem and everything. Like I didn't realize that I was even like an attractive girl or anything until I was almost in like I would have to say like ninth or 10th grade. That's when things started changing. But before then, I wanted to die. Like it was horrible. I was in third grade and I wrote on my journal how I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
Like I was a third grader.
Yeah.
Like
Horrible.
that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like no child should feel that way. You
No.
know?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And the administration at the school didn't care. I remember one particular incident where, I was picked on so bad. I was not very mindful. Like, I'm still to this day, like, not exactly the most mindful person, like, going throughout my day.
Yeah.
Like, it's like all of a sudden my head is like up in the clouds somewhere.
Yeah.
And the teachers used to complain about me, and I got sent to the office, and I got mad because the teacher had sent me there, and the principal was equally as abusive as the kids were.
Yeah.
And I ran out of the office and went back to my teacher because she had said, "Oh, there's a holiday. You guys can talk to me about anything." So my intention was to talk to this teacher about how I was being treated. And instead, the principal came in and dragged me by my hair and by my arms out of this classroom and down a hall. And I remember thinking to myself, I didn't do anything wrong other than want to tell an adult how I was being mistreated,
Yeah.
And I remember he was like a big guy too, and he was like dragging me, and I was a little kid. And that's when I
Mhm.
wrote that I wanted to die and that I wanted to kill myself. And like after that is when my mom decided that we were going to move. And we moved away. But people were still cruel because then instead of like a group of kids always picking on me, it turned into like girly stuff. And then from that point, it was like, catty girly bullshit. But I never really paid attention because I didn't like that. I've never been that way, and I've always believed that like your friends are your friends and you stay loyal to your friends. But I guess
Mhm.
in hindsight, I probably feel that way because I didn't have friends growing up. So my friends that I have now, I've had since sixth grade, and
Mhm.
they're all people that I've gone to school with for the arts that were like me. They
Yeah.
weren't different from me. They were just like me. They all had creativity and talent, and we all fed off of each other. And those are the people, like, to this day, 30 years later, I'm still friends with.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it affects you all throughout your life. And like when I was younger, I was a juvenile delinquent. I always got in trouble. I didn't care. Like I had the worst attitude ever. And some people thought it was funny, and they think that like I was cooler then. And now that I'm calm,
Hmm.
everybody asks me, "Oh, Lex, what happened to you? You're so calm." I'm like, I'm an adult. I'm grown up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a kid anymore. So it's kind of funny, but
Yeah.
it forever changed how I proceeded with everything.
Hmm. Yeah. Sad times. Times I don't
Yeah,
want to.
but
Yeah.
um, it led to poor relationship choices. But like now, I feel better who I am than I have my entire life. Like, who cares? I'm single. It's okay. I care more about things that matter than things that don't. Like anything frivolous just like means nothing to me. And now it's like my personal relationships with my friends and my kids and my family, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So you also went to therapy as well then?
Yes, well, as a child, they would try to like force my mom into like making me go to therapy.
Yeah.
And the that was always a disaster. Like that never worked out.
Yeah.
And I was so anti-therapy for like the longest time. Like, who are these people to tell me how I feel? Or, you know, they're not giving me coping mechanisms. They're sitting there judging me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when my marriage ended, I started going to a therapist and I stuck with it. And I would have to say that that's helped me out a lot. Um, I've learned how to like stop my negative thoughts. Like if I start getting into a space where like all I think about is how bad everything is, like she gave me techniques on how to stop doing that. Like
Yeah.
the mindfulness I'm still working on, but like the negativity is like almost gone.
Yeah.
Like, I no longer view myself in a negative way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's awesome to get to that point. It took me 40 years to get to the point where I'm at now. So it was a long haul of 20 years of like since I was 18 until now. You know, it was a long haul of a lot of work to get to where I'm at today, mentally and, you know, emotionally, right?
Right. Right. Well, I'm 42
Yeah.
and, well, 42,
You're actually
like two.
you're a week older
But
than me.
yeah, yeah. And it took me a long time, and that child, because he changed my life. Like, when I was younger, I was very selfish and I didn't want kids.
I know, guys.
No, but
I'm finished. Me
Go.
too.
good. But
First one to the room gets to.
when it happened, it changed everything, because now I'm responsible for how another human being is going to go out into the world. And that made a lot of things different and changed me inside. Like, I have a lot more patience and tolerance, things that I never had before. Um, I want him to have a better experience. And because I was so bullied so badly and they treated me so horribly, I hated school. And it is like my mission that he does as well in school as he possibly can, because he's way too smart to not.
Yeah.
And that's like my number one priority.
There you go. I always tell
No.
people, you know,
Yeah. And this is my one with the broken arm.
you know what? Like when you start going to therapy, sometimes you end up with someone who you don't connect with. So like you go and you try to
Right.
find another therapist, right? If you're not feeling like you're gaining anything from one, don't give up on going to a therapist. Find another one to go to, right? Because you'll connect really well, you know, with one person and not so much with the other, but you just keep looking until you find that connection, right?
No.
Yeah.
Sweet.
No, I tried that. And I finally found one that was good, that I like. But it took a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to go climb that tree.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thanks. I appreciate you coming on. It's really nice to have, you know, to have a female talk about their experiences too, right? So,
And when I was little, a lot of times it was boys that would do it, and like they would always say stupid things like, "Oh, it's because he likes you." No, it isn't. It's because they were
yeah,
cruel.
yeah. Probably because they have a hard time you know, at their place, right? Their parents are abusive or verbally, mentally, whatever, right? You know, and they take it out on other kids at school. So,
Bye,
yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Well,
it's
I'm
okay.
gonna go because
Yeah.
obviously I have a child I need to take
Yeah.
care of.
No, that's awesome. No, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I know other
You're
people appreciate watching it too, right? Hearing about it as well. So, you know, hope. Awesome. Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming on.
You're welcome. Seriously.
There you go. Okay, thank you for watching if you watched, and for the people who wrote, the other women who wrote that, you know, would have came on as well. I appreciate it, and you're brave for even willing to come on live and to do this and to join me, right? So I hope everyone has a good day.